It's Wednesday morning here on KSJE, and it's time to take a trip to the Encouragement Lab. Take a look. There he is, Dr. Mike Hadaba, joining us from the Encouragement Lab this morning. Dr. Hadaba, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Thank you for being with us, as always. And so this morning, what is our topic?
Well, here's the clickbait title. So you can put this on, if you want the social media hits, right?
Yes, right.
Abraham Maslow was a liar.
What?
That's
clickbait. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Why would you say that, Dr. Hadaba?
Well, for one, so everybody know, if you don't know who Abraham Maslow is, he came up with a hierarchy of needs. It is still in our interpersonal communication textbooks, right?
Right.
And we teach it. And by the way, there's a lot of truth in it. Here's the problem. It's never been proven in a study.
What?
As a matter of fact, it's been disproven over and over and over again.
Yet we accept that. That's interesting. Okay. You have
And
blown my
in our
mind.
textbooks.
Yeah. Okay.
And but by the way, though, it's listed as a theory, right? And so theory, but like I said, it's now a disproven theory. But the problem with a lot, so this is a whole nother subject. This doesn't fit the Encouragement Lab at all, but if somebody wants to have coffee, we'll sit down for an hour. This is fascinating to me right now. But the reality is that right now, one of the things we're seeing right now in our culture is the limitations of data.
Okay. Yes, we are.
Right. And so like that, and I don't want to chase that rabbit because I want to get in the Maslow rabbit, which is Maslow's general theory that we have these hierarchy of needs, that if these baseline needs of survival aren't met, we aren't going to get to a higher level. And ultimately we get to the top, which to me is where his theory really breaks down, is self-actualization, right?
Right.
But here's to me why a lot of his theory breaks down in actual human behavior. And this is a philosophical argument. Some would argue even a theological argument, but we're going to stick with philosophy today. Is that I hear people say all the time is people are good.
Right.
Now, people are good. And matter of fact, I have waited. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I have waited every week for John Krasinski's new SGN, Some Good News show to come on every week. It's been a joy to watch. I've even bought a mug. When I get it, I'll show it to the audience.
Why would you have to buy a mug? I hope he sent you a free mug for all that plug you gave him. But okay.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, somehow the word didn't get to him. But I bought a mug. I mean, that's how into it I am.
Wow.
I love what he's doing. But now here's the deal is SGN, Some Good News, John Krasinski, he chose to do that. He looked out there at the landscape of all the craziness in the news world and the actions of people and said, where's the good news? And so he came up with it. And that's my premise today is I think it's a mistake as humans to make this assumption that we're naturally good people and that we choose to do evil. I would argue, and as a matter of fact, there's a lot of famous philosophers that would argue is that we're naturally selfish. Now, there's a history professor at Sandwich College that I've had lots of discussions about this and what's funny is he thinks it's a good thing that we're naturally selfish. I think it's a bad thing, but that's a huge debate right there.
All right, well, that'll be another show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the point here is that if I'm right, if we're naturally selfish, then we choose to do good. Now, when you see young children choosing to be empathetic and good, that to me is they've been modeled that by their parents.
Okay.
It is not that they came out that way. We're told all the time children are just naturally good. No, they're not. They naturally model what mom and dad are doing. We come out of the womb selfish as can be. We come out crying because we're hungry and it's cold out there.
Right.
And then over
I'm with
time,
you.
we nurture children to be kind. And luckily, most parents, unfortunately, there are a few that aren't. I just had a discussion with somebody this week about what child abuse is and what behavior that is. But anyway, most kids are nurtured at a young age to be kind and to be good. And I would say that's not natural. That is pushed into them in a good way by good parenting and good role models.
Interesting.
So if you think about that, if that's true, if we are naturally selfish, as I'm trying to think of the philosopher that the person I'm thinking about always brings up. Anyway, you'd know the name, and sorry, I should have thought about this ahead of time. I was going to talk about him, but the idea here, here's the ultimate thing: is right now as we're dealing with this pandemic and the decisions we're making. You and I were talking beforehand about some of the things people are doing. as we're making decisions, we need to recognize that people are going to naturally choose what is selfish for them. So if I've got health issues, guess what? I'm very concerned about the health side of this issue.
Right, of course.
If I haven't had a paycheck for 3 months, I'm going to naturally, selfishly be concerned about where am I going to pay my bills.
Understandable. Yep, I'm with you.
So if that's the context, if we all have to, if I think that whatever it is you and I think naturally comes from a selfish point of view, then it's not my good nature saying I just want this for people. It's my selfish nature, and that's the natural thing I want to do. So then, in order to not be selfish, I have to put myself in the perspective of what would the non-selfish me do? What would the good person do in me? And that becomes an interesting process.
Okay.
What I think our mistake is a lot of times is I see a lot of politicians from both parties. They're all 7 parties. You put every party in here, right? That like to say what I believe is unselfish, and yet it almost always comes from a selfish context.
Okay.
It meets my needs, or it meets the people that I've decided are important. So again, we got 27 angles that comes from, and I'm not here to make a choice on which one, So I get it. I get why you have different ideas and different beliefs, but realize that most often those beliefs come from a selfish, self-centered belief context. And that it truly becomes a good thing when I can say, oh, I can at least understand why you might think that way.
Sure. Well,
Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was going to say, in terms of this pandemic, we've seen all that, and I think some people can we not feel both, right? Can we feel selfish about our paycheck, but also empathy towards our fellow neighbors and at risk, health folks who have health impairments and things like that to stay safe too?
Well, and Scott, I know you, and that's what I would say to you is that you have made a conscious choice to say, you know what, I'm living in this scenario, but I understand this other scenario. So
I see.
We've talked about him before, but you and I have a friend, Emmett Fowler, who's there in the Farmington community, who lived this. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital. He's been on publicly talking about it. It's very, he's a public person, and he has gone on and talked about this.
Talking to him tomorrow, by the way. On the
What's
show.
That?
Talking with him tomorrow on the radio, by the way.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So good. You can tell him that I said good things about him.
I will.
One of the things I love about Emmett is very clear. Here's the perspective. I lived this. I lived in a hospital bed for 2 weeks. I know what this can do.
Yeah.
However, I've seen a mutual friend of ours that has posted on Facebook from the exact opposite point of view of his, and he goes on and he replies to them in such kind words.
True.
It's so kind how he replies to them. And he says, hey, I get why you feel this way, but let me tell you my side.
Right.
And so, like I said, I can't say enough kind things about Emmett and Emmett's reaction, because here's a guy who has lived out the pain. And by the way, that's the irony. So I tell people all the time, I truly learned how to start loving people when my wife got breast cancer.
Sure. Well, sure.
I hands down know how to love people way better than I used to, because I have this empathy now, specifically about people who've been through cancer, because I've walked that walk with my wife.
Right.
So again, that makes Abraham Maslow a liar, but it's a good thing, right?
Right.
It's a good thing to say what he teaches, I believe, is the natural progression of humanity. We're selfish.
Mm-hmm.
But when I choose to say, I'm going to be empathetic to someone, the old Native American idea of, living in someone else, walking in someone else's moccasins, right?
Yes, right.
That's when I become good, is when I can love people and understand people that come from a context that's the opposite of mine.
Good advice. Something to think about this week, Dr. Hadaba. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are out of time, unfortunately, but thank you so much. It's Dr. Mike Hadaba. He is with me every Wednesday from the Encouragement Lab right here on KSJE Farmington.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Culp, along here with Scott Micklin.
Good morning. Wednesday, May 20th. Here we are, KSJE.
May 20th.
Yeah.
Oof.
How about that, right?
Yeah.
This is Memorial Day
That's
weekend.
a lot. I know.
This weekend.
You notice there hasn't been much chitter-chatter about it.
Well, there is.
Right.
I mean, stuff's canceled, you know.
Stuff's canceled, and people are forgetting that they have a Monday off.
Right.
You know?
Well, those of us that are still grateful enough to be working.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so I know. It's just an odd year. This whole year is going to have a big giant asterisk next to it.
2020, real weird.
Yeah.
Asterisk, real weird.
It really is.
Yeah.
Really. But we're glad that you are with us, everybody, to join us for our local information program today, because we've got a lot of things to share with you this morning. Mike Mestis, the San Juan County Emergency Management.
Twice in like 1 week.
Well, it's once a week, but okay. He
Well,
called
yeah, but
us
wasn't he on last
Wednesday,
which is, that's a week.
Okay.
Wednesday to Wednesday.
Right. And,
Twice in 1 week.
okay. I'm not gonna.
All right.
I'm just not. That is a hill I'm
You're
not gonna die on
you're-
today.
You're not up for an early morning debate?
Not about
Okay,
that.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be more.
I'm always up for an
I'm
early
sure we'll be
morning
talking
debate.
about llamas shortly. But anyway, so we have Mike Mestis, who's going to be calling in, if he hasn't already. I think he has. And then Jamie Church is
Yes.
my understanding that she's going to be calling in to talk about small businesses and some of the things that are being introduced to help them.
Yes.
And maybe a surprise at the end of the show.
It's not a surprise to us, but
Not to you.
It is to
Although
the
you looked
listeners.
like you were genuinely surprised until you remembered what it was.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so there you go.
I have an affinity for the stage.
I understand. There you go.
Okay.
So let's go to the phones.
Yeah.
And good morning. You're on KSJE. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Scott. Good morning, Megan.
There,
Good morning.
there he is, Mike Mestis, San Juan County Emergency Manager. Thank you for calling in, Mike. And I know you meet regularly, right, with all these stakeholders in the community. Do you do that on Tuesdays?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Tuesdays I meet with the community stakeholders, and that's the community leaders from the mayor, city managers, the agency heads, the chiefs, the law enforcement, fire, etc. And then on Wednesday mornings, I just got off my brief with my Emergency Operations Center, San Juan County EOC group, and those are my heads of my action committees that actually do the ground pounding and the work for us, and they help my office. So yeah, those meetings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we do those early so that we can get through the day and get the day started.
Very good. And so talk to us a little bit about what the latest news is that you are hearing. Of course, we are in this kind of phase in. The governor has told us San Juan County is kind of one step behind some of our other counties in the rest of the state as we look to reopen some of our local businesses. Of course, we're keeping an eye on the number of cases and infections and spread rate and all those other things that the health department and health folks are watching. So where does that put you in your meetings with our local officials? What are you talking about at your meetings on Tuesdays?
Well, I tell you, I'll give you the same update I gave the county commission last night. As you know, we at the end of the county commission we have a county manager's report and a department head report. So I always update the commissioners on what's going on. Of course, the public is allowed to listen in on those meetings. But what I gave them last night is I said, hey, San Juan County continues on the pre-phase 1, in quotes, operation from what the governor gave us. And most of them say, hey, what does that mean? So, of course, obviously the golf courses are now open. Non-essential retailers may provide curbside service and pickup delivery. Firearm shops are open by appointment only sales. The stay-at-home order in pre-phase still remains in place. And now, Scott, we're been directed to wear masks out in public whenever we go out. Speaking of the state police, it's one of those things that hey, they don't want to be the mask police. They ask the citizens to do their best by wearing them. It's something that they can't obviously enforce, and they're not going to arrest people. But it's for their own good. It's for your neighbor's own good, people that you're in proximity with, and they're just asking to help.
Very good. Well, that's good advice, Mike Mestis, of course, and good reasons for us to do that. Of course, I know you're also looking at other things that are going on in the area, some of the spring runoff and things like that, and keeping an eye on some of the water levels in the rivers. And things are looking so far so good. We haven't really had a lot of hot weather up in the mountains, right? So that's been helping with some of the snow melt, or am I wrong?
Well, no, you're exactly right. And as a matter of fact, I was watching the news this morning. There's even a freeze warning for the Taos area, and we're supposed to only get up into the high 70s today, and I guess the low tomorrow morning is going to be like 33 for us and 30 in Durango. So nice, cool temperatures, and it's keeping the river at a steady level. I think it's about 1,100 CFS here at the Aztec Bridge, which is not certainly any flood stage for us, but it's obviously up, so we want people to be safe around the river, and please do not go swimming at this time because the water's real cold. And then, yeah, to answer your other question, we went into stage 2 drought, so we're in a severe drought stage, and we're keeping an eye on that. Michelle Truby-Tillin, our floodplain manager, keeps an eye on that for me, and she continues to communicate with the National Weather Service on issues and warnings and stuff for us. So yeah, we're keeping busy doing that, and obviously we started working with the dental community this last week. They're hoping to open on phase 1, so obviously they helped us in the past by donating their PPE, so now it's our turn to help them through the state get their personal protective equipment so that they can anticipate opening up as well. Obviously, they were providing emergency services, but they need that PPE right now, Scott, so that they can open up on phase 1. So,
gotcha.
So just help with community need.
Yeah. And Mike, is there a little bit more PPE available now from your usual channels? Have kind of supply chains started to kind of calm down and manufacturing caught up with the demand? Are you able to get some of that stuff a little bit easier now than you were maybe a month or two ago?
Yeah, it's a little easier now. Some of the supplies are coming in, but we're still able to get stuff through the Strategic National Stockpile, through the National Guard. It's coming in through the state. And as a matter of fact, some of the things that are changing this week, Scott, is the National Guard will be coming off of orders if not at the end of the month, this Friday. So I have to start going down to the state and picking up that PPE and not having that delivered. And so, yeah, getting back to your question, some of the stuff that we're getting, people are able to source those items by themselves and not having to wait for me to try to set stuff aside or nickel and dime stuff for them so that they can get PPE. They're being able to get that supplies on their own. So that's looking good as well.
So wait, Mike, do you get to take a personal Mike Mestis road trip down to like Albuquerque to get this stuff, or?
Yeah, do you want to go with me? It's actually
yes.
The hub for our area is the big city of Milan.
Oh. I think Megan just called shotgun.
Yeah, I had to look that up in the map. So I guess it's just east of Grants, down in Cibola County, and I guess that's where the warehouse hub for Cibola, McKinley, and San Juan. I kind of get the short end of the stick on that. I have to drive a little further than Gallup and Grants do, but you're right. It's one of those I get to clear my head, get away from the office for a bit. Today's day 82 that I've been direct without a day off working here in the EOC. Obviously, I have to come in and do sit reps every day. And weekends and holidays are not full 10-hour days, but it's still, you have to get up, you have to come in and get the work done. So it'll definitely clear the head. So yeah, whoever wants a shotgun.
Yeah. Well, I have a great playlist, of course. So I'm all about the road trip playlist.
Megan will make you a mixtape.
I will. I'll make you a mixtape, Mike. It'll be the Mike Mestis road trip mixtape.
I'm sure
Yeah, and if that don't work, I'll definitely listen to KSJE on the way.
Well, there you go. That was the other option that you always have, Mike Mestis. So perfect. But wonderful. Well, Mike, thank you for calling in and giving us an update on what's going on. Do you have any? I think you told us last week you don't get a heads up from the governor's office of what she is planning to do. Have you heard anything though this week? Is that any different?
No, we don't anticipate it until like the end of the month or June 1st.
Okay.
For her next order, because that's when that last order was effective until the end of May. So, but a couple other things that I want to mention, Scott, that we worked on, because we've got a lot of things going on. Obviously, we continue to assist the nursing homes, because those are the ones that are being hard hit in our area. We continue to assist them with PPE, obviously, but we've also started doing physical assessments of their facilities. We've got a team that has come up and trained some of the people in our area to go in and see where their shortfalls are, where they need to be doing a little extra work with PPE and or cleaning. So we help in that aspect as well. Our homeless shelter came to fruition a couple weeks ago. I thank Chief Burke at Farmington Fire for that. So we now have a place to send our homeless population so that they can get safe out of COVID, or if they're in quarantine. And we're doing that at the Rimrock Hotel, and the Department of Health is helping us with that, with vouchers, food service, security, things like that. The Department of Health is also wanting to increase their testing in our area, so they've started doing testing of employees and citizens. So they anticipate doing a testing at either San Juan College or McGee Park next week. I'll have information on that for you so that we can get that out. Obviously, we get that out on our social media group as well. They've been down to, they want to also do Kirtland, but they've done the Walmarts, they've been to Shiprock, obviously, they've been to Nageezy, they're doing it at the local public health office this week. So DOH is very busy. They continue to want to get the pulse of what the actual numbers are. I'm looking up at the map right now. We have total tests of 9,388 in San Juan County, and whereas McKinley County has around 11,000 and Bernalillo County has 10,000, you can tell that we're behind on testing. So that's their big push on trying to do that.
Right. Well, and we've always heard from our medical folks, the more testing we have, the more we can get a handle on where these infections are and how they're spreading and those types of things. So more testing, the better, I think, is what the word is. And again, if we can catch up with some of the other bigger communities, that would help us get a better handle on what's going on here. So that works for me.
Yeah.
Mike, I had a question actually yesterday through Facebook about if there was a shelter or a place for folks to go, maybe who aren't homeless, but who do maybe test positive for coronavirus, but don't want to be in their homes because of their other family members. Do we have any type of situation for those individuals, or do they just need to get a hotel room for a couple of weeks, or do you have any idea about that?
Yeah, and so to not name the actual hotel, we do have a hotel here in the Aztec area that we do have COVID and non-COVID people. Obviously, they are on different floors. We do have an isolation area for them. And then we're also working on a first responder hotel as well for the community so that we can isolate first responders, nurses, law enforcement, what have you. But getting back to your original question, yes, we have a place. You just call our office. We set you up through the hotline, through the Department of Health, and we have an isolation motel room for people that can't go home, people that are positive that can't go home to their families, or people that need to isolate. So
great.
So that has, and then again, yeah, obviously our first responder hotel. Something also that was pretty amazing is our county manager opened up McGee Park, the RV park out there for first responders, nurses, doctors, and the jail, so they could park their RVs, and if they didn't want to go home after serving a shift and possibly being close to somebody with COVID, he's allowed them to park their RVs out there as well so that they could shelter away from home.
Okay.
So a lot of things done on the background.
Nice. Well, I'm not surprised because that's how our community works. So great to hear from you, Mike Mestis. Thank you for calling in as always. Appreciate it.
Oh, You're welcome, and you have a good day, you and Megan both.
All right.
Thank you.
You two drive carefully. Megan will get you that mixtape. There you go. She's working on it right now. She's already got songs pulled out. So,
Oh yeah.
to see how she is.
See how she is. That is how I am.
Helpful.
Yep.
That's how you are.
That's right. And I love a good road trip too. I mean, that's the best thing about living out in these parts.
Sure.
So.
Exactly. All right.
Another caller?
Let's go back to the phones, right? We have another caller. Good morning. This is KSJE.
This is Jamie Church.
Jamie Church from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce on the phone. Well, how are you?
I'm just fine. How are you today?
We are doing okay, and not better because now you're on the phone with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
See? Yes. Good to have you with us. Jamie, you were. I wanted to have you on the show today to talk a little bit about some of the things that the Chamber is doing to get information out for folks to think about if folks are small business owners and have had to be closed, what steps they need to be doing now in preparation to reopen as we look towards a positive future when that will be allowed to happen, correct?
Yes. So on Friday of last week, there was some information that came from the New Mexico Department of Health called Altogether New Mexico, and it's a guide to COVID safe practices. And so that is a very comprehensive publication. It covers all number of, it covers everything from manufacturing, retail, golf courses, restaurants. So very comprehensive on what our business owners need to know as these different reopening phases begin. And so it covers what the requirements will be as well as what some of the best practices are. So I encourage you to get to go either to the New Mexico Department of Health website and download that, or also we will have it on our Chamber of Commerce website. We'll have a link to it. And I also shared the link on our Chamber of Commerce Facebook page, and a number of other organizations have been sharing it as well. So you can click on the link, get that document, and find where your sector is, and then find out what you're going to need to have in place. We know it's pretty much a given that the masks for employees or appropriate face coverings will be a requirement, as well as the social distancing. So we are going to be producing a video this afternoon that we'll be sharing through the chamber, and Chief Burke will be with the Farmington Fire Department, will be part of that video talking about figuring out your occupancy and how to come up with a plan for your business for the social distancing and that piece of it. So that's one of the things the chamber is doing. Also, West, WESST, is going to be doing a very good webinar training. I believe it's next week, on helping businesses to know what they're going to have to do to reopen. So a lot of good efforts with many of the different organizations in Farmington and our community on helping businesses get ready for what has been called phase one, the phase one reopening.
Right. And I guess I know for you've wanted local businesses to be able to reopen like yesterday, of course, and we certainly understand that. But the way that this is going, because other businesses in other regions of the state have been allowed to reopen, I would think that we can learn a little bit from what is going well in those other parts of the state before we have to actually do that, so we can actually be prepared and share that with the local business owners to say, here's what didn't work in other parts of the state, or here's what the state says you need to do to be able to reopen, so that when the state order does allow local businesses to reopen, we're ready to go, right, on day one.
Right, and even regionally, I mean, if we look at Durango, because Durango started their reopening process a couple of weeks ago, and they still, they haven't, as of what I knew yesterday, they still didn't have in dining room, in their restaurants, they still weren't allowing in dining. It was still all curbside or takeout. Some stores, many of the stores in the downtown shopping district are requiring masks, and I would expect we would see that here as well, where store owners, in order to comply with everything, are going to be requiring masks. And so that's something I think customers and consumers, we need. My message to the customers, if you're listening out here this morning, is be patient and realize these businesses here locally, these small businesses, the ones we want to see reopen and succeed, they have had basically 2.5 months now of no customers coming in, extremely reduced revenue. So now they're getting the opportunity to begin the reopening process. So we need to be patient. And if they're requiring a mask, then let's support that and let's go with what they're requiring. Hopefully there's suggestions of signage, for businesses to put out, letting customers know right at the entrance that they're requiring masks. And so I think we need to be patient. If you don't want to wear a mask, or maybe you can't wear a mask for health reasons, then contact that business ahead of time and see if maybe they could arrange for curbside. You want to support them. You'd like to purchase this product. Could they possibly arrange for curbside delivery? So I think as consumers, as customers, and we're going to have to realize that for a while, as we phase in, it's going to be different. This isn't going to be like June 1st, and I'm just throwing that date out. So nobody hold me to it, because we're waiting,
You're not going to get secret messages from the governor, right? This is just Jamie Church.
No,
Okay.
No.
All right.
Whenever the next press conference comes out. But I'm just using that. So whatever the reopen date is, it's not going to be just like it was back in January, February, where everything's open, 100%, you can just go in. So we're going to have to be patient, and we're going to have to be flexible. And we'll have to see what the phases are. And so just to be, like I said, just be patient, be flexible, and be prepared. Just know that your favorite business, they are going to be building up their employees again. They're going to be restocking inventory. They are going to be perhaps only allowed, if they're a small business, only have maybe 2 people in their store at a time, which means you may have to wait. So, so there's a lot of that.
Yep. Nope, that's all good.
I don't even know if that answered your question.
It did answer my question. It's all good advice, and it's all going to be part of this new normal that all of us are going to be going into together here as things reopen.
Oh, I know. You asked about other places. So that would be the lesson, is that, as these other places have reopened, and they've been dealing with some of these exact same things. What are the regulations? What are the guidelines? Getting their business set up for maybe smaller capacity. And it'll be interesting when the restaurants get to start to be reopened. And believe me, I can't wait to go out to dinner somewhere. I just really miss going out to dinner somewhere. Or lunch. So when those things open, we're going to have to realize that restaurants are going to have very limited capacity for a while. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, and I wanted to share again with our viewers who are watching us the information that you had sent out earlier about the steps to take to reopen, the 5 ways to prepare to reopen that came from the chamber. And this is some of the information you're planning to share on your website if you haven't done so already, correct?
Yes, so we're sending that out. That's going to continue to be in our newsletters and our website. And one of the pieces of those 5 is marketing your reopening plan. Let your customers know what your reopening plan is. Let them know what you're doing, because the safer the public feels about going into stores again, and when they walk in and see all these great safety things in place, whether it's employees all wearing masks and correctly, or a hand sanitizing station, or clear markings on the floor of where the 6 foot is, or, whatever they're doing, those customers then are going to tell their friends, oh, I went into this store and wow, they really got it going with what they're doing. So market your plan. Let your customers know what you're doing, and that you are excited to get back to business, but you also, you've got all the safety things in place. So market that plan, and, just keep up with everything that's coming out. Even though we're putting a lot of information out there, we really want our business owners to check with the New Mexico Department of Health, the OSHA, keep up on what the guidelines are, because we know this is going to be changing too over time as the virus does its thing, whether it goes away completely, which is what I hope, or whether it sticks around for a while. We know that guidelines, rules, protocols, they keep coming out. So please keep yourself informed by checking into those websites regularly for updates.
Very good. And for our radio audience, Jamie, I just want to go through the 5 steps that you have as part of this. The number 1, build a COVID-19 plan. Number 2, respect social distancing. Number 3, for business owners, create a cleaning schedule so that customers will know that your store is clean. You've mentioned marketing your COVID-19 plan to let us know, our consumers know, what the business is doing. And number 5 on these 5 steps is respect the process. And so, again, as things evolve and change to really understand what is going on. Megan, you had a question for Jamie Church?
I do. Hi, Jamie Church. I want to get one in here, but
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Okay.
Jamie's just so thorough that it's like,
I know.
what kind of follow-up questions could we possibly have?
But you have one.
I do have one. So, if there is a resurgence of this thing in the fall, which is something that's pretty anticipated by medical professionals, these processes and guidelines are like we might have this situation where we go into phase 3 and then it's like, oh wait, guys, we have to roll back to phase 1. Is that something that, I mean, you guys are prepared to help us all navigate?
Yes, I certainly hope that doesn't happen. What I hope happens is that we are able to put all these safety protocols in place now, and then we will have them in place and we'll be able to continue with them even if things improve and then we see a spike of numbers again in the fall. It'll be easier for these businesses to be able to implement these protocols that were in place at stage 1. So I think we'll just continue to keep the information going. But if there is a rollback where the state says we're going to have to kind of revert back, then at least we can get the information out, and then the employers will know what to expect with that, or they'll know what they have to have in place with that. So again, that's why I think it's essential that you take it on yourself as a business owner to continue to check that Department of Health website and make sure you're getting the information. We try to put it out as fast as we get it. The city of Farmington is doing a great job with that as well, San Juan College, the SBDC, but it's, we get it and we share it. But again, we want to make sure that the business owners are also kind of taking that on, that they're checking those sites as well, so that when there's an update, they know about it. And listen to the press conferences. Even if you can't listen live, listen to it later so that you know what the information is. I mean, obviously, San Juan County, we're a couple weeks behind the rest of the state just because we were when everybody else kind of got into phase 1, now we're in the preparation phase. So what our hope is that now we can move into the next phase, but that's all going to be determined by, what the numbers are and what the governor says. So just keep up on all the information. It's there on all these different sites, KSJE. I don't want to leave you guys out. You guys are doing a great job of sharing it as well by having all the different speakers on and sharing the information. So you've got to make sure you're still tuning in and getting these updates as they come across.
I agree. And thank you for the plug, Jamie Church. So
I didn't want to leave KSJ. I just assumed everybody knew I meant KSJ.
Of course. I think they do. But
I mean, the whole town does, obviously.
We appreciate that. But that's why we do this show. I really, and I know the audience appreciates it. But that's why we're on the air, Monday through Thursday with this local information, and why we invite folks like yourself on the air so they can hear it directly from you as to what's going on and where to find this information and what you are doing. Mike Mesta said he'd been working for, I don't know how many, 80 some days without
82
a break.
was
And
what he said.
I would think that Jamie Church probably has been working for 80 some days
you guys some
without
snacks
a break.
and electrolytes or something.
A lot of folks.
That's the thing about working from home is you really don't get a time when you're not working, because you're checking your email at 8:00 at night and responding to things and watching what notices or what updates are coming out on Facebook that you feel like you should share. And I think that's what everybody's feeling, is that, you just don't ever stop, because we all care a lot about this community, and seeing this community survive and get through this it's what's our priority right now. So we are always sort of out there looking what the information is and trying to help get it out to everybody who might need it. The healthcare professionals doing the same thing with San Juan Regional and the information you're putting out. So whether it's economic related or whether it's health related, we're all constantly working to get the information out to everybody. So
very true. Well, and we thank you for your efforts, because we know they continue. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. And if anybody out there has any questions about face masks, suppliers, what the Altogether New Mexico document is all about, we're going to be putting out through the chamber a very simple business checklist for businesses to go through. Have they worked through everything, and they could actually post that in their place of business if they choose to do so. It's not required, but if they choose to do so. So we're going to be coming out with something hopefully before the end of the week. And again, a video that we're working on with the mayor and Chief Burke on helping businesses figure out capacity. And so we have a lot in the works. So please, stay tuned with the chamber. And I always share everything with KSJE, so they'll have the information as well.
And we appreciate that. Yes, you do. And of course, Jamie is a regular guest on my program in the mornings at 8 once a month. So we always get to catch up with you for that too.
Friend of the show.
Yes.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Exactly. Well, very good. Jamie, thanks for calling in. Stay well.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon. That's Jamie Church from the Farmington Chamber of Commerce calling us this morning on our show.
Yes,
Yeah.
giving us the biz on the biz.
Well, and she's right. We want to support these local small businesses, and as they are able to reopen, we just have to be patient. But they have some things to do too, like to be ready and to be clean and to be
That's right.
get their policies together and all those things. So
That's right.
anyway, so we're looking
and this
for
town
that.
has a lot of small businesses. I have to say, as one
We
who has
do.
lived around
Yes.
a lot of
We
places.
learned that yesterday.
We learned that yesterday.
I learned it personally, but we don't think we put that on the show too much.
Yeah.
At least Connecticut and Texas we learned.
Oh,
For you.
Connecticut and also
Texas
New Jersey.
and New Jersey.
Lots of time in New Jersey.
Okay.
Lots of formative years in New Jersey.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, that explains a lot. All right.
Yeah. Hey.
There you go.
You know what? New Jersey has a bad rap, but let me tell you guys, it is
Stick up for the Garden State,
Yeah,
would
it
you?
is. It's a delightful state.
Yeah.
Central Jersey down like south to central is actually very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that most people fly into New Jersey, they fly into Newark.
Yeah.
Which is
not the prettiest part of New Jersey.
No.
Nothing against Newark, I'm just saying. But,
Yeah, but
I don't think you'd call it
Yeah.
the Garden State if
no,
you only
no.
saw
You
Newark.
have like an impressive display of smokestacks. Yeah. So
There you go.
But yeah.
That's
So
true.
anyway,
So,
anyway.
yes. Well, perfect.
New Jersey.
Shout out to New Jersey. I'll let
shout out
you,
to New Jersey.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so while you queue up our next surprise guest.
Our next surprise guest, yes.
Somebody's asking for an update on the llamas.
Are they?
Hey, great.
You're not making that. Oh, they are. Someone actually wrote that. Did you write that? Is that from you?
No, I'm over here while
Were you
Jamie Church is
texting?
finishing up. Hey, tell us about the update on the llamas. I don't have an update on the llamas.
Oh.
Hopefully the
There's
winter, the llama is still being taken care of, and hopefully those scientists will give us a update on llama antibodies soon. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what this viewer is talking about, check yesterday's show for a whole llama update.
Okay,
So
I have an update on the llamas.
there's-
I have an update. Here's my update.
Yes.
They still spit. Back to you, Megan.
They do.
There's my update.
That's a good update. So there's an emerging science, Scott, and it's sewage surveillance. And yes, so this is a real Typhoid Mary throwback here because, and I don't know if you're aware of the whole Typhoid Mary story, Scott. You probably remember it from school, but it's actually that's an outbreak of typhoid fever that has been. There's been a lot of comparisons just as far as the virus spreading because Typhoid Mary herself infected a ton of people, but she was asymptomatic. So you hear about this all the time. So, and the way that they tested for typhus was through her waist, to be kind of gross here this morning. And so there's this emerging science. MIT started Biobot Analytics, and what they're doing is they are testing the sewage water in various places for traces of the virus. And in fact, California, Florida, Massachusetts, Paris, Australia, and the Netherlands have all been sampling wastewater, and they found that they're able to detect hotspots sometimes weeks in advance because this is a very early detection tool. And so there's ways to track the virus even before the classic symptoms that we see.
How about that?
I know.
Cool.
Sewage surveillance. Again, I mean, it's amazing how quickly academia is moving these days. And
Right.
So it's very promising as far as just tracking city sewer water to see weeks in advance whether or not a hotspot's coming, which is pretty important, again, with this resurgence in the fall that people are predicting. And so special shout out to the personal algorithm again for hooking me up with that information.
Okay. Folks are concerned about that, I know. So we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Very true. Okay. So we're waiting on our next guest
Great.
to join us via Zoom.
Great.
So it's technology, right? And we want to see we
Yes.
want to see our next guest. And so as soon as we do that, we'll
Okay.
be able to bring her on to the show, our surprise guest.
Do
right?
you want to just reveal the surprise guest while we're waiting?
We could.
Tennille Taylor,
Hey,
classical
we love
violinist.
Tennille Taylor.
Yes.
And so, Tennille, we just can't see you. So we could bring her
Yeah.
maybe into the audio part of the
Okay.
show. But we're not seeing you, Tennille. Oh,
wait, there she is.
There
Yay,
she comes.
Tennille.
Now we can see her. Good morning. And we can hear you, I think, too.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yay.
Good.
There you are. We can see you and we can hear you. So there's Tennille, everyone. And welcome. Good morning.
Hi.
Good to see you and hear you.
Thanks for having me. This is strange.
Right?
Yeah, that's
I
how we
know.
roll.
Exactly. So
So yes, well, so I asked Tennille to come on because
why is Tennille here?
Yeah, why is Tennille waiting here?
I like that she's here, but
I
what is she
love
here
it
to do?
because she's one of our most talented local musicians.
No kidding,
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, town treasure.
Yes.
And so I thought that it would be great to have a musician's perspective right now because all of these live concerts are obviously not happening right now.
Very true.
And two, music is such a healing presence in people's lives, and we had a music teacher on, but we haven't
Right.
really heard from our local musicians. And so I asked Tennille if she would treat us with some of her playing skills, her mad violin skills.
Wonderful. Well, that makes total sense now that you explained
Yeah,
it to me
yeah,
of why Tennille's on the show. And Tennille, it's great to see you. And I know you and I are both part of the San Juan Symphony. I'm on the board, but you actually perform. And we were so sad that the symphony had to cancel its end of its season this year. And so we didn't get a chance to hear some of these great pieces that the musicians were working on. And so that is all of that. And again, a lot of people forget that musicians perform, and some actually, like Tennille, perform so well they make money off of it.
They make money, right? Yeah, it's
So,
a job,
exactly.
and it's a struggle. It's a hard time for professional musicians.
That's true. So I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, and we're going to let
Tennille
her
talk
yeah.
so that she can explain what's going on. Tennille, please.
So I have just found it very interesting. It's the longer that this has gone. When it first started, we all kind of predicted it wasn't going to last very long, I guess. And so it didn't seem like there was going to be such an impact. But as it's progressed, now over this much time, I've just found it so interesting that right now when I look at my calendar, it's truly the first time in my life, I think, that I haven't had something on the calendar, but especially playing wise. Like I just have no idea when the next time, that I have to have a piece prepared, except for today, or anything to play for someone else. But once Megan asked me to do the interview, I was actually thinking more about it. Was like, really the saddest part is for the audience members, because all of us that are players, we still have our music. And yeah, I'm not able to have those gigs and have that income, but I can still play and I can still have the music. And so all those audience members that look forward to those little concerts and performances every year or every month or every week, they're not getting that live music performance. And so I certainly miss playing with my friends, my colleagues, but I think it's such a huge impact on the listener. And I actually had some concert tickets too for during this time. So I've even gotten to be a disappointed listener during this, circumstances. But I just think it's had more of an impact emotionally for the listeners, because they depend on it, where the musicians still have that expressive outlet, even though we have to do it all by ourselves now.
Yeah, which is so sad. But no, I agree. I'm always a symphony season ticket holder myself, and which is amazing in this town, especially because the quality that we get for the price that we pay is unreal. Again, Northeast girl over here, we would have paid like triple the amount of what we have to pay here. So let's hear, you have some pieces for us. I know that you had this wrist hand wounding from Tennille got stung by a bee last
Oh,
week. And
no.
it swelled up her
Oh,
hand
gosh.
like
Well-
3 times the size.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So, but
Okay.
anyway,
Well-
she's a trooper, so here she is.
Okay. Well, we're so excited that you've got something planned for us, Tennille. So thank you, and we'll just let you do your thing and share what you want to share.
Okay, so I have a screen share if that's working.
Yeah, I think it should work, but it's technology, so you never know. But we're going to try this here, everybody. For our
We'll do that one first. So, oh no, it says it's still disabled.
well, do I need to
Maybe
do something at my end? Probably. I probably.
Yeah, you have to enable it, Scott, because you're the host.
well,
there's a setting, but so if you want to work on that, then I can play something live while you work on that, and then
Sure.
That's art.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play a romance. It's just a little single movement work by Sibelius. And I'm obviously missing my pianist friend, so it's just gonna be sad solo violin.
Okay. Okay.
But it's a beautiful little piece.
All right.
That was amazing. Per usual. Per usual. Sibelius, he's my boy as a religious person. He comes up all the time.
Does he?
Oh,
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he does. So we think we got screen share, so we can end on the Mozart. This was
Yes.
your pre-recording because of the bee sting situation, right?
Yeah, and I did it with a piano accompaniment that's a recorded accompaniment, so it just works a little better.
Cool.
So this is a Mozart Adagio in E major for what's supposed to be violin and orchestra, but this is obviously violin and recorded piano.
Okay. We're gonna. Oh, look, there's your dog.
There's the dog.
Oh.
Oh.
Wait,
Okay.
where's- oh, I see. You can see my whole screen.
We're screening. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're sharing your screen.
Is it there? Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. Tennille, thank you so much. Look at that, everybody. That was wonderful. We had lots of great comments, by the way, on Facebook, too, because, of course, we love hearing you play.
I was going to say, everybody
and our
loves
audience
Tennille.
loves hearing you play, so
Yeah.
there's all that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's great. It was great to have a reason to play for someone.
Yes.
My poor neighbors. I have been playing on my back porch a lot, and so that's as close to a performance as I can get. And my neighbors are funny. Sometimes I'm out there a little too early and I wake them up.
Oh,
But it's an early morning violin performance that they probably never otherwise get.
I was
So-
going to say, I'm
right.
jealous of your neighbors,
That's
but
right.
whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thanks so much. That was great to get to experience that, especially, like I said, I'm a firm believer in the healing properties of music and how much it can do for people's moods and morale. And so thanks.
That's right. Thank you, Tennille. And now that we know this works, we'll have you back for sure.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Stay well. That's Tennille Taylor, everybody. Wonderful musician, part of the San Juan Symphony, and, of course, music teacher extraordinaire.
Yes. We want to make sure that we point that out. She does give lessons.
She does give
So-
lessons, and her students are talented.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
We get the privilege of having them, they had a quartet that came
Nice.
and played for us for Christmas Eve, and it was by far
Wonderful.
wonderful.
Yes. Well, great show today. Thanks to all of our guests, but we have to wrap it up.
Yeah, because it's almost an hour today. It's a banner show, y'all.
I know. It really is. And so tomorrow, we're going to talk to some doctors
That's right.
from the
That's my
hospital.
happy
You're
dance.
excited about that, I guess? Is that your okay? So we're going to talk to some doctors from the hospital and a survivor of COVID-19. So we're looking forward to
Yep.
both of those things tomorrow. So, but great show today. Again, thanks to all of our guests.
Yes.
And we will see you back here
See you
at
tomorrow.
9 a.m., everybody. Stay well. This is KSJE Farmington.